Oh, here's a good one. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to doing this on the PCX150 in a minute. I don't want to hit a couple of those. Oh, that was rough. Man. Yeah, I did not go through there at 35. And my kidneys will thank me. Okay, so here's Kevin's new toy. He picked up a 2022 brand new Honda ADV150. This thing has got a whopping 12 miles on it. Pretty much brand new. Somebody bought it, decided they didn't like it, didn't need it, brought it back, traded it in on something else. So Kevin gets the steamin' screamin' deal, several $100 off, and probably lower sales or excise tax, whatever. But yeah, it's a nice little bike. I like it. I almost got the 21 model when it first came out, but I like this colorway better. I like this cherry red. That's pretty slick. Looks really good. So we're gonna load this up on the hitch carrier on my old beater here, and I'm gonna haul it back home, hopefully before the rain cuts loose, because it feels like it's gonna rain out here. So anyway, quick little walk around. Plenty of people have done walkarounds of these on YouTube and online, so my paltry efforts won't be that great, but it does have the smart key. Let me go to the other side. Got a smart key system on here, just like my Super Cub. So lights up the digital dash, and it has 13. We've rolled it, so now it has 13 miles. All the other functions are controlled through the key option here. So up is fuel, get to the fuel door just like a PCX. Seat, pop the seat, and we got our owner's manual down here, and that's about it. That's a big compartment. That's bigger than the PCX by far. Got a little tool pack under here. That's a neat place to keep it. I like that. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is. Maybe for helmet D-rings, something like that. So yeah, anyway, looks pretty comfy, and that's a nice long seat, so I think Kevin's going to be pretty comfy on this. Anyway, I'm going to shut the video down. They're going to put a paper plate on the back of this, and I'm going to load it up on the carrier. Catch you in a bit. Welcome to the new 2022 Honda ADV150. There have been plenty of online reviews of this already, so I'm just going to go through some of the highlights comparing to a slightly older Honda PCX150. They're not quite apples to apples because the motor in this one has gone through a couple of minor upgrades as far as efficiency and piston skirt and things like that. So it apparently makes a tiny bit more horsepower, and it's a little bit more efficient than the older 2015 PCX over there. But they're pretty close in terms of overall performance, engine output, efficiency, that sort of thing. Closer apples to apples would be the 2019 through 21 PCX 150 that shares the same motor as this. Now the new 22 PCX is a 160. It's got a 4-valve head. It's a totally different animal under the skin. So anyway, this is the 22 ADV150, and I went and picked this up for a buddy of mine, Kevin. This is not my bike. I haven't gotten a new toy for my garage yet. And he's been looking for one of these for several months and found it at Team Mancuso's South down in Lamarck, Texas. And I'm closer to it than he is, so he asked if I could go pick it up for him, and I did. So I went and did that yesterday and brought it back on the back of the truck. And he's asked me to ride it and give my impressions of it and compare it to the PCX. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Aesthetically, they're totally different. Under the skin, they're more similar than not. The one big change, obviously, that everybody notices is the bodywork, the somewhat adventure-style beak-looking front end of it. But the front end has dual sport bike-style headlights. It looks pretty cool. Where the older PCX is just a single unit, bright enough, but I've always had little issues with daytime visibility on it. It's not quite as bright as it should be, I think. So I'll be testing this one and see how it looks from the front in daylight, And yeah, anyway, so the other obvious styling cues are it's more rugged and angular. The seat height is just a tiny bit taller. I'll break out a tape measure in a few minutes and give you the seat heights. I think this one's about 1 inch taller, maybe 1.5 inches. The seat profile is a little bit different. You can see it's a longer triangular section, and it's got more of a pronounced hump that's narrower here in the center to help you get your legs down, so it's not overly wide right here at the waist. Whereas the PCX is a little bit more squared right here, but I think seating area is roughly the same. That one looks like it might be a little bit more roomy. We'll find out. Then obviously exhaust, it's got a sport bike styled upswept exhaust on it versus the lower cigar canister that the older PCX has. And the big standout are these big beefy Showa shocks. Now I have not ridden this thing around yet. I took it down the street and back and that's it. But these things look to fill the role here. Now they do not have adjustable stepper collars for spring preload. It doesn't look like. Nope. And there are no adjustments on the remote reservoirs that I can feel or see. Nope. So these are non-adjustable. They sure look pretty, but we'll find out how they perform. I'm sure they ride quite a bit better than the original shocks that are on the PCX, because those were terribly underdamped. So I upgraded the ones on this PCX to a set of YSS shocks, and they're much better. They don't bottom out, but they are a little bit too stiff on their spring rate for my tastes, but it's another story. LED signals on this, obviously they're external instead of integrated into the bodywork. These are the same ones that are on most of Honda's Neo Cafe bikes and also on the Super Cub 125. These are identical. In fact, I think this is almost an identical tail section. LED throughout, tail light, headlight, turn signals, everything. Brake, I believe, is the same diameter. I'll throw those specs up here on the screen. But what you can notice is this is an ABS bike. So we've got the ABS ring, and that's great. It does have a 2-piston caliper up here on the front, and so does the original. Kind of looks like it, maybe. Yeah, it's a dual piston. What I have noticed right away, though, is this thing has got better feeling brakes. It stops much better than the older PCX, just in the little 2-block ride that I did earlier. So what else can we talk about? We've got the flip-down foot pegs here, which are nice if you're going to be carrying a passenger. Of course, they're going to need something to lean on, so I would imagine most people would probably put a top box back here, shad or something like that adapter that I've got on there that I can put several different shad boxes on. GV is another brand that's got accessories for this. So flip out foot pegs, same story over here, just a different style. These are wing style instead of flip down. Let's get under the seat. Now, this has a smart key, very similar to my Super Cub, a little different in its execution. Key fob is in my pocket, so push it in to wake it up, and then you can either turn the bike on. We'll go through that startup screen again here in just a moment, or you can just leave it to the unlock position that allows you to hit the seat or the fuel door. So one thing I wanted to show on this seat, which is really cool compared to the PCX, is watch this. Just one finger barely lifting, and it lifts itself. There's a counterweighted spring in here that helps you open it up, and that's pretty cool. These seats aren't heavy, but I'll show you in a second. That one's just kind of floppy, and you have to get it up over this detent, and then it'll stay, but it doesn't self-lift, so that's kind of nice. Cool. The under seat compartment here, the tray, trunk, whatever you want to call this, is bigger than on the PCX150. So it looks like you might be able to get a slightly larger full-face helmet in here without having to take stuff off of it. My big old Schuber C3 Pro will not fit, not even close under there, with or without the accessories on the side, like my Pack Talk or my GoPro or whatever. It certainly won't fit. It might fit in here, minus the stuff. I don't know. We'll try it out. So, comparing to the PCX, where there's no smart key, it's just a traditional key, but you got the same switch gear pretty much. So here's the no counterweight. Got to lift it, and then it goes doink, and there's your detent. So it's just a piece of spring steel right here. That's it. So it'll stop there without closing, and you can still move your handlebars around. But it's not quite as fancy as this. That's a nice touch for a somewhat entry-level scoot. I like it. So, seat box under here is a little bit smaller, and I've got leaves in there. It looks big. It's not. It's really shallow up at the front end. So when you try to put a full-face lid under here, you end up crunching it in the seat right there. It just won't quite go down. So anyway, let's start them up. Putter, putter, putter. So this one is all stock with the exception of the variator. I put a Dr. Pulley variator in here that allows me to get better cruising speed and higher top speed. From the factory, this one was capped out at 62 to 63 miles an hour, and you would just bump off the rev limiter. With the Dr. Pulley variator that I put in here, it pushes the top speed up to a drag limited 72 miles an hour, and I never have found the rev limiter after that. So we're going to compare that to the ADV150 here in a few minutes. We'll see what the factory top speed on it is. I don't want to rag it out because it's brand new. It's only got 12 or 13 miles on it right now, so I'm not going to beat the snot out of it too bad, but we'll kind of see where the upper reach is, and then I'll shut it down without just... Kevin is going to be riding this thing back to Austin tomorrow, though, so he's going to be beating it up on the highway, so yeah, maybe I won't feel so bad. So, nothing fancy here. Vroom, vroom. 150 cc's of fury. This one is a similar arrangement, but you get the smart key. Oh, wait, whoa, wow. Gotta go back. Okay, so here's the startup screen. Ooh, fancy gauge. The gauge is not super legible. I mean, it's okay, but it looks a little busy, in my opinion. There's just too much stuff up here on the screen, and the font is really small. So if you're sitting up here at, you know, riding height, whatever, it's a lot of little bitty fonts down there. Maybe I'm just getting old and my eyes aren't that great, but that's a lot to look at. I think they could have simplified that a little bit, but hey, we'll get there later. Same putter, putter, putter. A little bit different exhaust note, but still 150 cc's of fury. Oh, one thing I did want to point out, I almost forgot, watching the rear tire sit here and roll along. This has a much better parking brake arrangement, in my opinion. It's got a squeeze and a lock, so it has an overlock on the brake lever that lets you set the parking brake. On the PCX, it's this seriously confused little brake pull lever. I don't know what they were smoking when they designed this, but it doesn't work with a diddly. You have to pull this in, and you pull that out, and it kind of sort of locks, and you can feel tension, but it doesn't do anything. And I've adjusted this thing like a dozen times. It doesn't do anything. So, and then to release it, you have to squeeze this, pop that in, and then give it another couple squeezes to make sure it's disengaged. But yeah, that never has worked. I've gotten under the skin of this thing. You have to reach inside the inner fender well and work with a lever. It's a complete disaster. It never has worked. So this is a much better arrangement, and I might be tempted to buy this perch and put it on that, because that's absolute genius. I love it. And whatever you adjust here is the same as your standard rear brake adjuster. You can adjust the tension on that thing from right there. There's no breaking into the plastics and trying to hack your way out of Alcatraz there. Anyway, pretty nice scoot. I'm going to take this thing around. One last thing that I'll show you. Let me kill the motor so there's no more background noise other than the massively annoying locusts here in the neighborhood. It has an adjustable windscreen from the factory, but this, yeah, I don't know. I think it could use a more substantial windscreen. Let me show you this before I get up here, or before I maneuver it. So this is my height. My eyeballs are right here. That screen is way down there. So I really don't think it's going to do much at highway speeds or, you know, faster road speeds. It's not really going to be that significant of a wind break. It'll break up airflow on the torso, but I think that's probably about it. Yeah, so here's the adjustment, and it's in its up position right now, you'll notice. So to adjust this thing, you pull these levers out and then push it down. And it's only two position. That's down, this is up. There's nothing in between. It's just one or two, that's it. So the lowest position sets it really sleek, and that's okay if you want a lot of wind in your face. But if you're rolling along at freeway speeds or whatever and you want more of a wind deterrent, pop it up. Not the greatest. So what I'm thinking is an aftermarket screen. I'm not sure if Honda sells one, or maybe Madstad or one of the plethora of aftermarket companies out there. I would say probably get it up to about this high, maybe another 4 inches, and you don't have to worry about your handlebars really getting into it. I mean, I don't know why they've got these big cutouts here. These appear to be more aesthetic than functional. I think straight sides on it would give you better protection because you're nowhere near these levers. It's not going to happen. So yeah, anyway. And then obviously the bars are different. The neck on this is taller. It's got risers here, and it gives you more of a flat style bar, almost like a motocross style bar, where the PCX150 is a much lower neck, and you've got the upswept bars. So anyway, that's all I can think of right now for the quick overview, the back and forths between them. Other than the tires, I guess I should address that. Big chunky rubber. I'm pretty impressed with these. I'm going to see how they ride. I'll throw the sizes up here on the screen, but you can tell from the front, let's get them kind of aiming toward each other. You can tell that that is a much more substantial footprint than that. These are not the factory tires, but they are the factory size. These are Michelins. It came with some crappy IRC hoops, and they're gone. They're done. But this thing rides okay, but you can get into some freeway grooves and ripples that make this thing squirm around a bit, and separations in the pavement, and tar snakes can be kind of an issue with these narrower tires. I'm betting that this helps quite a bit with probably another 30 millimeters of width there. I'll throw the stats up here. But yeah, same goes for the rear. These are much chunkier in the back. It's a good size cross section there versus that. I think that's a 110 or something like that. So anywho, time to get these on the road before it gets too much hotter today, and I think we might get some rain. We'll see. Okay, well, let's get this started. Warm up a second and hit the road. The bars are much taller on this thing than the PCX. Okay, off we go. So I'm going to take it easy on it for a little bit. I'm going to beat it up too bad. I'll take it over to my normal testing grounds, which is down Westheimer Parkway and through kind of the park area over there. I want to take it down that rough park road that leads into George Bush Park bike path area, and see how it handles those bumps, and then I'll go back there and repeat the same path with the PCX150. And I already know that's going to be rough. Mirrors on this thing are quite good. I like them. They're differently shaped than the PCX150, but they are good. They're spaced out far enough that you can see, and pretty good optics on them. So a big shout out to Kevin Excelsior on YouTube, and Bikes and Pizza on Instagram, bikes.and.pizza, for letting me play with his new bike. He's coming down tonight to the Katy area. They're gonna stay overnight, I think, in a local hotel, and then he's gonna ride this back to North Austin area tomorrow morning sometime. The seat height is definitely an inch or so taller because I'm up on my, not my tippy toe, but just the ball of my left foot. I'm tippy toe on both sides. So I've got a about a 29.5, 30-inch inseam, so the seat's a good inch, maybe inch and a half taller than the PCX150. Now, I was noticing the instant fuel economy gauge on here. That's pretty neat. When I was cranking it, it dropped way down, like to the 50 mile per gallon range, somewhere in here. I didn't really focus on it. I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. And then as I backed out of the throttle and was cruising a little steadier, it jumped way up the ramp over here, so that's cool. The ride so far is better than the factory PCX. It's pretty firm, but of course this is a new bike, so the suspension is going to break in a little bit over the first several hundred miles. Just going over a lot of these ripples right here, I can tell you that the rear suspension is definitely better than the factory PCX suspension. Can't really tell much on the front compliance yet. I haven't hit enough big bumps to tell you. That's going to change in just a minute. So cruising along at a steady 50 here, trying to watch the road and get my camera in here. I'm just going to point it down and look at this later. So steady 50, kind of sort of tucked, not really. So it looks like the fuel economy is hovering. I can't read that. That's that tiny font. It's like 100 or 120. I can't read it. Anyway, fuel economy is pretty good, I guess. Wind coverage is minimal. As I suspected, that's not doing a lot. The brake I can feel right here, right there. So the brake at this point, even coming back here toward the rider position, I can feel it about an inch, 2 inches above the top of that screen. So it doesn't do much. Breaks it up around my center of my torso, but even my shoulders are way up in the clear. So for cruising longer distances, whether it's a long commute or highway run or whatever, this will definitely benefit from a taller windscreen. Doesn't have to be huge, but something up about here would be about right. For my height anyway, it would throw most of the airflow over my helmet. I'll run it down to the end of the parkway over here and circle around and come back to the park and go down this line over here where that real rough road is and give the suspension a quick test. Yeah, it seems like the acceleration is a little below what the PCX150 is doing. But again, it's a new bike, new variator. Everything needs to wear in a little bit. That roll on back there from the stoplight seemed a little pokey. Between 25 and 35 miles an hour, it seemed like the variator was fully extended and not really allowing the motor to rev up much. Vary the engine up and down a little bit. So I'm doing Kevin's break-in ride for him. Because his ride back to Georgetown tomorrow is going to be rough. I'll do a quick top speed run going the other direction in a minute. Wind feels like it's coming from over here, so wind shouldn't be too much of a factor. Yeah, the suspension on this thing feels pretty good. It's firm right now, but I think that's going to wear in over a few miles. It feels more planted. I'll tell you, these fatter tires, they feel steadier in the corners, you know, like a sharp U-turn I did back there. The PCX is kind of, I don't know, they feel a little bit wishy-washy because of those real narrow cross sections they've got. These feel good. Get on a flat spot and hammer it. We're up to a whopping 21 miles now. Nah, the wind is against me right here. I feel it. It's stronger this way than it was the other way. Do a quick open up blast here, see what it gets. It's really stable at maximum speed. There's no stability issue at all. It doesn't feel twitchy or wishy-washy. 62 I saw. 63. 63. Okay, shut it down. I don't want to abuse it too much. I am going against the wind a little bit, so it must be coming kind of this way. So let me see if I can read that now. 100 is that mark that I was looking at. Such a tiny little font. So yeah, it's probably going to get roughly the same fuel economy as the PCX150. I'll bet the PCX is a little bit better though, because it's slipperier. It's not quite as angular as this one. So the aerodynamics are probably a little bit better. Yeah, I think Kevin's going to like this. Now, if I sit all the way back to where that hump is, yeah, my legs are... I can lock my knees out on the upper floorboard sections here. So he's a longer legged guy than I am. I think he's 6 foot, 6'1", something like that. So yeah, I think he'll be comfortable enough on this. He was real concerned that it would be too small for him. I think he'll be okay. Somebody got busted. Directional stability is really good on it. Transitions feel good. This wider tires really help, I think. And these wide flat bars. It's got a good feel to it. I like this. I had what was probably the very first one in Texas reserved for me, and I went to pick it up, and I don't know, I backed out of it because I already had 2 PCX150s in the garage. What are we doing here, fella? Kind of want to go bombing through here at speed and test out this suspension. You need another try, or do you got it? Do you got it? Do you got it? He's got it. Well, so I'm not going to avoid these. I'm going to try to hit them. We'll see what it feels like. Ooh, it's firm. It's firm. Not bad though. Better than the PCX. Hey, missed one. Here's good ones. Here's some more. 35. That's actually not bad. It's firm. Don't get me wrong. But I haven't had any kidney punches yet, so that's good. On the PCX150, ooh, that was good. With the original shocks on that PCX150, oh man, you'd hit some of these ripples and potholes like this, and you'd swear you lost a kidney on the road. It was rough. Bottom out very violently. Oh, here's a good one. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to doing this on the PCX150 in a minute. There's plenty of travel in this rear suspension though. It didn't bottom out once. It's good. Here comes some park maintenance. If it wasn't so muddy, I'd take this thing back in the woods over here. I might. I'm gonna go look, see how bad it is. If it's really bad, I ain't doing it. I'm not gonna get a scooter all muddy. Oh, nope, that's muddy. I'm stopping right here. That's a big mud puddle. I'm not gonna thrash his bike up yet. The belt is slapping, making a funny sound. Did you hear that? Something's rattling. Never heard that before. Take a couple of pictures. Yeah, it's the variator over here. Belt something chattering, making a little bit of noise. I don't think it's anything to be worried about, but it's interesting. Another thing to note is the US models. I'm not sure about Canada. Might be all of North America, but the US models do not have the auto start stop feature. Oh, and before I take off, one other thing that I've noticed that I'm not a fan of is all this shiny finish right in here, particularly this shiny piano black on the sides. I think I would much rather have that be the matte plastic, because as you're putting your boot in here, this is invariably going to get scuffed and scratched up. The PCX150 has the, you know, this part of it is polished up and painted fancy, but the matte plastic rides a lot higher. Anyway, little things. Variator's noisy. We'll see how it does. Ooh, it's hot. God, it feels good to get moving. The temperature's in the low 90s right now, I think. 92. That thing says 83. It's not 83. Really humid too. I think we're gonna get rain. Not sure. Kind of looks that way. I'll stop twice tomorrow. Bump. There's a good bump. Ooh, there's another one. I don't want to hit those. Those are a little too sharp. I've noticed there's a slight difference in the smoothness of the takeoff on this versus my PCXs. It feels like there's less engine vibration. There's something about it that just feels a little bit smoother on the take up of the CVT. I'm gonna miss a few of these because they are rather sharp. I don't mind big bumps. I don't like the ones with square edges because those bend rims and mess up tires. Now it looks like they got a road crew out here preparing to tear this up and redo it. That's good. It needs it. It has been bad for a while. You can see they've done lots of patches, but the patches aren't gonna hold for long. They've shut this down to one lane for a big strip of it. They're relaying it. They're on 1463. Okay, time to go. Wide open. It's pulling okay, but right around 35, it kind of it tapers off. Alrighty, well, I'll run this back to the house, and I'll bring the PCX150 out here, do the same stuff, and give my A to B comparison. I can already tell you right off the bat, the suspension on this one's better. It's valved better, and there's obviously more throw in the rear, so it soaks up a lot of this abuse pretty well. I think power-wise, this one might loosen up a little bit as it breaks in. It could benefit from that variator, Dr. Pulley or NCY or something like that, just like I did to my 150s, or my PCXs, I should say. Now, this was the guy that was getting a ticket a minute ago, I think. I haven't tried standing on this. Oh, you can stand on it. Yeah, the ergos actually aren't all that bad for standing. Of course, I'm short. If you're taller, you're going to be reaching down to your knees to hang onto the bars, but, you know, this is supposedly ADV, so that implies you're standing up to go over a lot of the rough stuff. I guess this would work. Not a lot of foot room here. It'd be good if there was like an angled ridge on the outer edge of that footboard to kind of hold your feet in, or put some kind of foot pegs on this, but yeah, it's all right. Better than the PCX. Can't really stand up on the PCX very well. Boom. Yeah, I think Kevin's going to enjoy this little scoot. I think I gave him the bug when he and Thrill Mouse Moto came down to
visit last year, and we went over to my warehouse and we were bombing around on my scooters and different toys there. He rode my PCXs around, and I think he really enjoyed that. He got the bug, so he's been looking around at PCXs, and then this ADV150 when it came out. He was asking me a lot of questions about it. I said, well, it's just a butched up PCX, so it should be largely the same animal with better suspension. Yeah, for a city run around scoot, I think this thing would be great. It's got enough suspension throw that you don't have to wince quite as much when you're hitting these pavement seams and potholes. It doesn't have a lot of suspension, so you wouldn't want to hit any big kettle holes out there, but most of your surface irregularities, it's soaking up quite well. Cornering is very good on it. It's very predictable. It doesn't wishy-washy feel like a lasagna noodle in the corners at all. The PCXs did on the original tires, and especially with the original suspension, but I upgraded my bikes with better tires and suspension, and they don't lasagna noodle out too badly. Okay, well, now it's time to swap batteries in the camera and take the PCX150 out for comparison. Okay, after a short little lunch break, I'm going to head out and do the tests again. With this one over there through the park road and going over the rough stuff, I'm sure it's going to be much rougher. I don't know if I want to try it at 35 miles an hour on this one. The ADV150 soaked that stuff up pretty well. So the mirror shape on the PCX, they're more teardrop shaped, where the ones on the ADV150 are a little bit more trapezoidal, I guess, in shape. They give a little bit better field of view than these do, but they're both pretty stable. I can't decide which seating position I like better. They're both equally comfortable for me. I almost feel like the lower bar position on the PCX feels better, but it's probably just because I'm accustomed to it. The wide flat bars a little bit higher up on the ADV150 feel really good. I like them. It's a very good hand position, a little bit higher than this. I'm just so accustomed to this, I guess, after years and so many miles. So obviously, running along at 45 or 50 here, the PCX has got a lot better wind coverage, but that's because I put this National Cycle V-Stream, I think is what it is, on the front of it. It does a good job of breaking up the flow. So here's a roll-on from 45, climbing very rapidly into 60. It's definitely got a little bit more oomph than the ADV150, but that could be due to this Dr. Pulley clutch that I have in here, or I'm sorry, Dr. Pulley variator. Cruising along at 60 on this thing is just effortless. I'm only maybe a quarter throttle right now. So I'll run the exact same loop that I did on the ADV150. The front of the ADV150 definitely feels better than this one because, you know, revalve front forks or whatever it is, it feels much better. I have not installed the upgraded YSS suspension on the front of this one like I have on my 2016. The 2016 is more composed than this one because of that YSS PD valves and the revised fork springs. I think they're a little bit stiffer, but the combination of the slightly stiffer springs and the better valving, better damping, really smooths out a lot of the jitters that I feel in this one. The ADV150, I didn't feel hardly any jitters in the front, so the steering on it's quite good. Steering and front suspension. Okay, wide open. 46, 50, 53, 55, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. And there is a bit of a wind through here, so normally I think I would be about 5 to 6 above that at that time. Still wide open. So yeah, I'm fighting a pretty good wind through here. 64. Yeah, fighting a pretty good headwind in here. Shut it down. Try going the other way, back this direction, see how it fares. I couldn't find my draggy. I looked around. It's in one of my travel bags from one of my road trips. I was going to put my little draggy GPS over here and get some braking performance between the two scoots, but got to lay my hands on that thing first. Acceleration and top speed won't really be a fair contest because this one's been upgraded and it's broken in compared to the still very new ADV150 without the variator upgrade. But braking is what I was really interested in finding out, because the brakes on the ADV feel better than they do on this. Now obviously it's got ABS on the front. I don't think it's a rear ABS because it has a drum, but yeah, I don't know, it feels like it stops with a little bit more authority than this one does. You really have to crank into the lever on this one pretty hard. And it doesn't have ABS, so you can lock it up. It's pretty easy to modulate right at lockup, but you can still lock it. Now this one doesn't give me real-time fuel consumption, but I already know what it is. Cruising along at 50 to 55 like this, it's getting better than 125 miles to the gallon. It's insane. Yeah, this makes me want to put the YSS upgrade in the front of this now. I think I might just do that. Alright. Whoopie-wee. Get down on the flat spot and open it up and see if I can do better than 64, which was my high speed for coming this direction. The park through here is always a little bit weird for me to do my top speed runs because there's always wind through here, and there are some slight grades or inclines in this that don't show up on camera, but they are there, so it affects the top speeds. So I think this is about where I opened up the other one, so there we go. Roll on from 50. Having some trouble. There we go. Now that's a flat spot. So 64, 65, yep, just fighting wind resistance at this point. 65. So up on the highway, I've been able to get this thing to 70, 72 pretty regularly without straining too much. And it'll cruise along at 60 to 65 really smooth at only like half throttle. So it's really a wind resistance game when you get up to that above 60 miles an hour. Okay, well, I will turn and go down the potholed road from hell here. I don't know if I'm going to be brave enough to do it at 35 like I did on the ADV150, because I know this does not have as good a suspension. Now I don't remember my path through here last time, other than I was looking for something to run over. Here we go. Doing 35. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, those are definitely much sharper, especially on the front. Ow. The rear shocks are doing pretty good, but again, these are not factory, they're YSS. Yeah. Yeah, it's the front that really gives me the trouble on this one. I don't want to hit a couple of those. Oh, that was rough. Oh, man. Yeah, I did not go through there at 35. And my kidneys will thank me. Yeah, the front is what's so choppy and rough on this in comparison to the ADV150. So there's a big plus for the ADV right there. Better suspension. Oh, it's hot today. All right, out we go. We'll stop twice tomorrow. Yep, I guess that's 4 times now. Got to stop 4 times tomorrow. And there was one really nasty one that I hit earlier in here, and I don't want to hit it again. Right there it was. Oh, yeah, that was a real bad one. 7+ inches deep. It's about 7 or 8 inches deep. It is nasty. Yeah, that was a kidney killer. Oh, some of these are bad on this side. Okay. Just try not to beat it up any worse. Hey, we already know that it loses this competition. Try to leave my kidneys intact. Oh man, a couple of those were so bad it moved my mirror. What the hell? Flickability and transitional response, I would say that, whoa, I don't want that. I would say that the PCX is probably a little bit more nimble than the ADV, but that's due to the narrower tires. They're both very flickable, but PCX definitely gets the edge there. Whoa, like that. Whoa. Yeah, this mirror got banged down from the impacts. Holy monkey. Yeehaw. I don't have any work going on this weekend, so I am debating on what my plans are going to be. After Kevin comes down and picks up his scoot, I might just follow them up that direction, and I might go scamping. I'll load this thing up with some camping gear and go scooter camping up in Lake Livingston or something like that. I don't know. I'm just stir crazy. I'm ready to get out of the house. I haven't been out in, what's it been, almost 6 weeks now? It's a crazy long time for me. I got back from my cannonball and I haven't been out again yet, so it is time. This thing is really flickable and handles extremely well, especially on these Michelins. I noticed 100% improvement in the handling of this bike when I put the Michelin, what are they, the City Grip 2s on here, I believe. These things handle great. They've got better tip in, just better performance all the way around. Zoom, zoom. Damn, I'm going 55. They're just better all the way around. The IRC hoops that were on here, I took off at only like 2,000 miles before we did our first Arkansas trip a year and a half ago, whatever it was, because I just didn't want old tires on there, and I knew that we were probably going to be riding in the rain, so I wanted something with better grip, especially for Adrian's first trip anywhere on a motorcycle or a scooter. So I had a lot of responsibility on my shoulders for that one, making sure that he had a good experience and he was safe, you know, as safe as can be interstate travel on a scooter. But yeah, I don't regret that cash outlay at all. These tires are fantabulous. Love these things. Love them, love them, love them. I have Michelins on almost all my other bikes. They don't have any high-performance scooter tires, you know, along the lines of the Pilot Road 4s, 5s, that kind of thing for scooters. That's more of a full-size bike tire design. But these City Grip 2s are pretty close, man. They're really good. They've got a lot of siping and water channeling in them, so they're not high performance as far as cornering and a lot of rubber contact patch on the ground. But I mean, be realistic, these are scooters, you know, you're not knee dragging these things around corners at 80 miles an hour. So the City Grips are designed to work on all pavements, wet, dry, any kind of conditions, and they do really well. We never felt these things slip, get squirrely at all. Zero problems for that. 1,600, 1,800 mile trip, whatever it was, up to Arkansas and back. And we went through some, you know, kind of snotty, slippery mountain roads after morning showers and morning dew and that sort of thing. But no problem. Stuck like glue. And these things handle surprisingly well in the twisties. They're real flickable, and they've got a lot more lean angle than I would have expected them to have. I mean, I'm not one of those 9/10 riders anymore. I still get out and run hard, and I'll drag pegs and occasionally drag a knee, but of course you got to have the right gear on to do that and not injure yourself. But you know, dragging pegs is no big deal. These things, I was leaning over and I was expecting to hear scrapes and hard parts hitting the ground, but never did. We were pretty surprised taking them through all those real tight twisties in the what is it, the Ouachita and Ozark Mountains. Okay, well, that's the quick comparo. I think I'm gonna see if there's anything waiting on me work-wise. I kind of doubt it. I haven't seen any emails or calls, so that's starting to become problematic because my work is slowing down a little too much for comfort right now, but I'm trying to leverage that downtime for doing these kind of things, having fun, and doing some comparison videos, and turn it into some videos that might make me a few pennies here and there. So as always, if you enjoy the videos, I would appreciate if you would hit the like and subscribe, leave comments, and you know, consider joining the channel on either Patreon or here on YouTube, and it helps me bring more fun stuff to everybody to review and enjoy. So thanks for tagging along, and I'll catch you next time. I cannot get these damn signs out of the picture. I don't want the trash can in the picture. What do I do? What do I do?